So thank you, colleagues, and welcome to our session of the GCE Spotlight. And in this session, we are featuring SWANCEFA, and I would like to introduce myself first, and my colleagues will follow suit. I'm Pilani Ndebele. I'm the Communications Officer based at the Global Campaign for Education. Colleagues, the floor is yours for introductions.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tulani Lushawa, the Programs Officer for SWANCEFA, the Swaziland Network Campaign for Education for All. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I am Nelly Siwa-Nhlabathi from the Education Coalition in Eswatini, SWANCEFA. Thank you. As the National Coordinator. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Vicky Mogani. I'm the Knowledge Management and Learning Officer at GCE Secretariat, and I'm based in Johannesburg.
Akhekhang, you're the last one on the floor. Okay, we may still be having a problem with audio from Akhekhang because we can't hear you. So we would like to proceed, Nelisiwe. So basically, to start this process, could you just kindly share with us what is SWANCEFA and what SWANCEFA is doing at the moment, and some of the key highlights that you'd want GCE members to know and the rest of the education movement?
Okay, thank you, Pilani. Thank you for the opportunity to feature SWANCEFA in your newsletter in the next quarter. We really appreciate the opportunity as the Eswatini Coalition. We are happy to be part of the meeting. I will start briefly by stating that SWANCEFA, as I've said, is a network of 19 member organizations locally registered in Swaziland. These organizations are working on education and children's rights, disability rights, generally around children's rights. What I can say is SWANCEFA, we are registered in 2012, officially registered in 2012. And since 2012, we've been working on the advocating and promoting access to quality and inclusive education for all in Swaziland, Eswatini. We as a network, we achieve this by coordinating with other NGOs or civil society organizations. In Eswatini, we participate in education processes. We also conduct research and participate in policy development. Mostly what we have been working on during all these years is forming the partnerships and coordination. I can say we have come strongly on working with the Ministry of Education, especially in education policies, development of sector education plans and policies. We've participated in a number of them, and we have seen some initiatives that we were advocating for coming to light, a number of policies coming to light as a result of advocacy. And also I can say we've been working a lot around GPE processes in the country. We know GPE is new in Eswatini. For a long time, we have been working on GPE, on being a member of GPE as a country, because for the longest time, we were not part of the Civil Society Education Fund, which started, I think, 2 decades ago, but we only joined SWANCEFA in 2016 because the country did not have any relations with GPE. There was no intention to be a member of GPE whatsoever. So we can say we facilitated GPE, the GPE partnership with Swaziland through negotiations, support from local and international organizations, which finally yielded some results after a long negotiation and I think asking for support from organizations like UNICEF, where we were engaging the ministry together with UNICEF in the country. And we can now safely say we are there because we are now in the processes of being a member of GPE officially after we've been granted the multiplier grant, and we have developed the ESEP, which is a requirement to be officially endorsed as a GPE country. So at the moment, the ministry we have appraised the ESEP, and now we finally we are in the process of appraising the multi-year action plan to implement the ESP 2034, runs from 2022 to 2034. So we are looking forward to implementing the multiplier grant, of which we are the coordinating agency, and the World Bank, the grant agent. Yeah, I think also we've been pushing a lot in the local education group, where we have tried to increase participation of civil society within the local education group, because previously, before even the structure of GP processes started, we didn't have even the local education group. So we also instrumental in forming the LEC, drafting the TORs for the LEC. We can safely say we are part of the LEC now, and we are participating. So through EOL, the Education Out Loud project, we're able to support our members to participate in the LEC. Yeah, we have been able to make some meaningful submissions in terms of the ESEP, what priorities we, as a coalition, we expect to see being implemented as soon as we start implementing the multiplier grant. And we have also made a lot of submissions in terms of policy. I think my colleague will talk much on this one. In Eswatini, in fact, it wasn't like a policy, but we had attendance of schools chasing away girls who fell pregnant in school. So as a coalition, we were advocating for them to be retained in class. If they are willing to continue learning while pregnant, we were saying, why not? Because we have seen it in other countries. It's working, it's happening, because you know, some of these girls, you find that they've fallen pregnant, but they have a bright future. They are doing good in school. They can go back, they can write their exams, and they can pass in flying colors. But because we were discriminating against them as principals in school, so I think in 2020, during the COVID, we got that the ministry made a directive where head teachers were instructed not to chase these girls from school, and all girls who had fallen pregnant during the lockdown were encouraged to go back to school. And after that, because it was a directive, it was important to put it into policy. So because there was this outcry among schools, teachers were complaining that they are not health workers. So if they are saying girls should be in school while pregnant, there should be a regulation, a policy directing them how they are going to handle that situation. So at the moment, then a process of developing that policy, which is called the Early Unintended Pregnancy Policy, AUP, started in 2021, and SWANCEFA was leading in the consultations, and the ministry, even the management, has acknowledged that it's first of its kind for a policy to have such wide consultation, because as SWANCEFA, we took it to the communities, we took it to the parents in the communities, the traditional leaders, the principals. So there were those wide consultations. So now it's a cabinet. We are hoping for its endorsement and approval. I think I can stop there for now.
Okay, thank you so much for the useful inputs, and you actually shared quite a lot of information that some of the issues we'll be able to follow up with you on during this discussion. I want to check if Thulani has something to add in relation to this, and we also welcome Soro, and we believe Akhekhang can hear us. Okay, right.
Okay, thank you so much, Philani. I think the national coordinator has just alluded with some of the achievements that as the coalition we have made. I think according to the questionnaire, it was some achievements between 2 to 3 years of our project interventions. Yes, I think the policy development and participation, and also fostering civil society participation in education processes, and also conducting research and other innovations in terms of how we can improve education in Eswatini. Also, given the two issues that have heavily affected education in Swaziland, which is the political unrest and the COVID-19. We have tried as much as possible to make sure that even parents at grassroots level participate in terms of influencing education sector policies. So we have also maybe internally as a coalition, we are seeing ourselves, we are growing, which is something that is also positive and an achievement. We are having more policies today than we had before. Also, we are having more processes that improve our capacity to deliver, and also conduct resource mobilization for the expansion of the coalition. And also, I think the coordinator has also touched on the issue of being the coordinating agent which as SWANCEFA would say has given us an opportunity to influence policies in Swaziland. So basically, in terms of our achievements, I would say those are some of the issues that maybe we can highlight for now. But as we discuss, I think some of the issues will be coming out. Thank you so much, Pilan.
Thank you. I believe my colleagues in this call, Vicky and Atlehan, can agree with you that you sharing sterling work, and I think it is our responsibility as the GCE to amplify those successes that you have achieved so far and the great work that you're doing on the ground. And this is actually the strategic intent of this session moving forward. And based on what you have shared, we believe that inside Eswatini, the political dynamics are so much volatile to an extent that it's difficult for you to organize and to implement some of your projects. So we would like to hear from you. What are some of the political factors inside Swaziland that are affecting your work, and how are you organizing around them? And within the work that you're doing, what are some of key areas of work that you like GCE members and GCE partners to deliberately support you, be it in the form of solidarity or direct support or any other form of support? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pilani. I think many of us will remember that last year, I think we heard from the news, if you are from South Africa, that around June 29, Swaziland experienced a nationwide protest, which is something that continued for a very long time. And also, you must remember that it was also the COVID situation, the COVID-19 period. We were still under a lockdown, but we were also at the same time dealing with the political unrest as a country. So what was happening nationally then had a way to make itself into the schooling system, whereby even education was affected, property was banned, there was violence, shooting of learners, arrests, all of these other things that are happening in terms of the political unrest in schools. So it has been quite a very difficult environment to operate in, because not only that, the incidences that happened last year, but also as we continue to see violence even on a daily basis, something that we had not seen before in Swaziland. But we are seeing violence in terms of banning of people's private properties, other attacks that continue to happen. So all of those things coming in are making the environment to be more politically volatile and very difficult to operate as civil society. But one of the ways in terms of as a coalition we have been trying to organize is working through our members. Through the network of members, we are having strength and we are able to influence policies and participate in education sector processes. For instance, even if you talk about issues around teachers, we have the Teachers Union, which is the member of SWANCEFA, which lead those activities that are supposed to be implemented with teachers. If it has to be students, even though the Swaziland Union of Students is not officially a member of SWANCEFA, but because they are also working with the Teachers Union, we are able to work and collaborate with them and see how we can work together to improve the status of learning in our schools. So for us, which has made it very easier for us to work during the period, even though things are very difficult, is to work through the members to try and identify which relevant member is capable of leading such an intervention or processes within the education space, and then trying to maybe making sure that those members are well capacitated to deliver on those mandates. So basically, that is how we have been organizing ourselves and working as SWANCEFA and being able to implement during the period. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thulani. Nelisiwe, would you like to add on that?
Thank you, Pilani. Yes, as my colleague has said, I think the political unrest has affected us a lot, not as a coalition, but in the entire education system in Swaziland. And we have seen that even, how can I put it, no one is safe now. We are now watching what we are saying, especially to the media, because you know there is a lot happening in the country. As my colleague has said, every day we are waking up to use of people's properties, homes, and cars, bent, and we are now pointing fingers at each other around the country. Also, what I can add in terms of some of what we can share with other coalitions in the region is one. I think it has also worked for us to form the partnerships with the policymakers, like members of parliament. I think it's another achievement that we forgot to say. We have cultivated that relationship with them in a way that we are able to call them anytime to give them something, points, ideas, policy submissions they can make in parliament in terms especially of the budget. We have seen our budget for education decreasing in the past years, such that we for 2020, 2021, we were even below the 15% minimum benchmark, where we're at 14%. So we have been advocating for at least an increase, and this year it was increased to 16%. It's still small, because we know we as GCE members, we placed our target at 20%, at least 20%. We know the global it's 15 to 20, but we said at least let's advocate for 20%. So we know we are far, but we are seeing a growing trend in the budget for now, and we'll continue lobbying parliamentarians for a more increase, even if it's we have put our target to at least 18% by for 2023, 2024, at least up to 18% of the budget to increase to that. And I think we have seen a much support from Parliament, such that in our project this year, in our programs in 2022, we'll be developing what we have termed a people's budget, because the MPs were saying, for us, we've been told that the budget, the education gets the lion's share from the national budget. So when the budget is tabled, we are happy that education is given priority. But we've been saying to them, if you go deeper to the budget books, you will find that over 90% goes to the wage bill, the salaries for staff in the education sector. So there's very little that goes to the actual improvement of education in the country. So they've been saying, no, SWANCEFA, go and combine a summary of what you think and believe should be in the budget. So we have taken that initiative. We'll be going to deep to the people in the communities. So we will develop a budget that we will be calling a people's budget, where there will be brief points that will be given to them to say, when you debate the budget, please ask the Minister of Finance to put more on this and this and that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelisiwe and colleagues, for sharing the useful information. Vicky, could you just jump in on the next session and then we can continue with the conversation?
Hello, hi Pilani. Should I now share on the Learning Hub, or should I kind of continue this conversation that we are?
You can follow up with item 4 and 5, probably 6. Some of the issues have been alluded to, but maybe we can just see if we can get a little bit of more information, and then we can proceed with the Learning Hub towards the end.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, thank you, Nelisiwe and colleagues, for sharing what you've shared so far. It's been quite interesting to hear the great initiatives taking place within SWANCEFA. I think, yeah, moving to kind of, following up on what you've been talking about, the crisis. We saw that the Eswatini crisis was removed from the agenda of the recent SADC session in April. Do you have any comments on this? And then if you have any kind of call to actions that maybe SADC, the African Union, the UN, some of these international bodies should do to ensure respect for, fundamental human rights in Eswatini. If you have anything to add on that.
Okay, thank you so much, Vicky. Maybe, as you know, one of the things that as a country we agreed upon through the support from SADC last year was maybe to have a dialogue with all stakeholders that is going to kind of like assist us come to a common ground and end the violation of human rights and all the violence that is currently happening in the country. So there was the agreement through the facilitation of President Cyril Ramaphosa that Swaziland is going to undertake a dialogue whereby all these issues are going to be discussed. So maybe for us as civil society at this point, we are keenly looking forward to that dialogue. And that is probably the support that we are going to request from everyone who is in solidarity with the people of Swaziland, to see Swaziland moving away from its current crisis. And generally, because we do know that also, while it is a question within the country in Swaziland, but it is going to generally, at the end of the day, affect all other neighboring countries, your South Africa, Mozambique, and Lesotho, Botswana. So for us as civil society in Swaziland, collectively as a voice, we are just looking forward to that process of the national dialogue. It has been quite a long time. We have been expecting it since last year, November, but other processes have delayed the dialogue from taking place. So we do believe that so many answers are going to come in within that dialogue, and whereby we are going to be able as a country to find a common ground and see an end towards what we have been experiencing currently, and we have been experiencing for the last, I would say, probably 9 months or so. So maybe the call is just to support and make sure that as Swaziland, as Swazis, we do have that national dialogue to try and resolve all of these issues. Yeah, I would say probably on the issue of Eswatini being removed, there's so much that has been said to an extent that we no longer know which one is the correct version of what really happened. On the SADC side, with this communication that Eswatini maybe have removed itself, it will not be participating on our side, government side. There seemed to be commitment for Eswatini to participate, but a date was set, etc. So there has been so many things that have been happening, such that we do not know what's the correct version. But we do look forward that all our partners and people who want to assist the country to move forward. The issue of the dialogue, I think it's one which is very, very pressing, which we think must happen. And because so many things are happening now, which all of us who are not happy about, which may need to be resolved. We are looking forward to live again in a peaceful Swaziland. So basically, that is what I can say.
Great, thank you so much, Thulani. Nelisiwe, do you have anything to add, or anyone else?
Maybe to reiterate what my colleague has just said, the issue of Troika, the removal of Swaziland from Troika. I can say, yeah, as he has said, my colleague has said, it's a confusing issue, and it sounds like a mystery sometimes, because even today in our daily newspapers, the Minister of Foreign Affairs was saying, I think there was a meeting on Sunday, and Swaziland was not part, and the minister is saying we were not invited as a country. But why? Because we are a member of Troika. So it's I don't know, it's confusing. We are only hoping for a transparent and inclusive dialogue. We are hoping all Swazis will get a chance to participate in the dialogue. There won't be barriers. We are only hoping for that participation of all Swazis who are willing to participate in the dialogue. Thank you. I don't know, Zodwa, do you have something?
So Zodwa had indicated via chats that she's struggling with audio. So she's putting some of her comments via the chat box, and Atlekang is following up on them. Perhaps towards the end of this session led by Vicky, we can maybe just throw in some of the points that she has mentioned, or she has passed through to us via the chat box.
Okay, thank you, Thulani, and thank you, Thulani. Thank you, Nelisiwe, for sharing. I really hope dialogue, inclusive dialogue, can bring some clarity to the confusion around this. But thank you for sharing those reflections. The other question I have is related to Eswatini's the Eswatini Education Coalition's coordinating agency role. What comments, what lessons, what insights and progress would you like to share with GCE members about your role as a coordinating agency?
Okay. Thank you so much, Vicky. I think the national coordinator did say that, as you know, for a very long time, we struggled to manage to have Eswatini to be member of GPE. as you will know, the only thing is that for you to participate, you must be one of those countries that is currently being funded by GPE. So for us, working sometimes in the civil society space, it is very difficult. In particular, in our political environment context, because there was some time whereby the messages that we were getting from others within the ministry was that we are more seen like not just as a coalition, education coalition, pushing for education policies and access to quality education, but as a form of a political party, or I think it's the same thing that we have seen also in countries like Zimbabwe, whereby the space for civil societies to participate is quite limited, and our actions are are very much questioned in terms of our intention and our mandate and everything. So we were operating at a distance for a very long time, and we were trying to come closer and working within the Ministry of Education so that we can be able to influence policies and processes. And it was quite a difficult time. And I do remember that at some point, even if we sent invites just to say, can you please come and attend this meeting, it was quite difficult. So we have been working both internally and externally with other partners, including Open Society Initiative, including GCE, GPE, and other partners who we thought maybe could be able to influence government to say it's not just for the benefit of us as civil society, but also for the benefit of government, because we did strongly believe that through the GPE grant, we would have better systems in place for implementation of education sector plans. So we did a lot of advocacy around the issues of trying to ensure that SWANCEFA, as government applies for the GPE grant. Actually, because in Swaziland, unlike in South Africa and other countries, governments are not voted for. Like maybe there would be a change of administration because of a change in political party. So we stayed with the situation for quite a long time, up until at some point there was a government reshuffle of the principal secretaries and ministers. So it was after the general elections. So after the elections, the change of administration gave us an opportunity, and then we took it upon ourselves again to go and start the conversation to say, can we also partner and apply for this GPE grant? So eventually, there was a mood that was now welcoming, that they agreed, and they started the conversation. They put in place the systems that were necessary. They revived the leg. And there was just a whole lot of commitment that we were not seeing before. And that was 2018. There was a whole lot of commitment now that we didn't see before in terms of trying to apply for the GPE grant. And eventually, there was a meeting whereby the GPE's especially education advisor came to Swaziland to come and assist the country to put in place all of these structures. So we were also part of that meeting because we were also members of the leg. So in that meeting, it was also the meeting where I think it was a whole week meeting where it was decided to say we also have to vote for our coordinating agent and our grant agent for the government GPE grant. So as SWANCEFA, we have been leading these processes, and also during that meeting, we were also presenting in terms of trying to inform government and all stakeholders on how GPE processes operate, because you will know SWANCEFA was being funded under the civil society coalitions. So that is when that we were, actually the first nomination that we received was for us to be the grant agent for the GPE grant. But looking at our capacity, we thought maybe we are not going to be able to play that role. Also, given the main commitment that comes with it. So we said we declined for the nomination for the grant agent. And then again, we were nominated for the position to be the coordinating agent, which we felt it's something that we are going to be able to do as a coalition. So Since 2019, we have been the grant agent, and we have been re-elected, which is also positive. It hasn't been an easy task. It came with a lot of learning in terms of the coordination role. Also, SWANCEFA being a small organization, even our resources were stretched because financially there was nothing that was supporting the work. We were just trying to do what we believed was right. And also, it has been a process of learning because also GPE is new in Swaziland, as the coordinator alluded. So the grant agent and us, the coordinating agent, we are in a learning process. So we have been, maybe those are some of the areas whereby we have been requesting for support to improve, to learn from other. In particular, we want to learn from other coordinating agents. We are aware that we are the only civil society within the GPE family that is the coordinating agent. So as SWANCEFA, we want to learn from other coordinating agents, because it could be happening that, as we feel, one of our achievements, we say this position has made us to be a partner in the education space with government because of our position that we hold. So we are an official partner and we are consulted. And even when important documents have to be signed, we are part of those processes. So even in terms of application for a grant to GPE, we are part of the we are consulted, and also we endorse those proposals, and we are the ones actually which are share that the information with the GPE. Even any communication that is coming from GPE in terms of availability of grants or any other communication with Swaziland, as civil society, we are feeling that we are no longer left behind because it is coming through our office and then we are sharing with partners. So that is some of the positive strides that we have had being in this position, and we look at having more fruitful engagements moving forward. But mostly, we as SWANCEFA, we want to try and maximize our influence as civil society by being the coordinating agent. So hence we want to learn, besides just chairing meetings and receiving communications and bringing in civil society, what else can be possibly done to improve quality education for all in Swaziland? So basically, for us, briefly, I can say that has been the involvement, and we are looking more at opportunities that will expose us to learning and how we can make sure that eventually it's not just about the education sector plans, but also to make sure that even at the end of our term as the coordinating agent for the GPE grant, we make sure that education in Swaziland has improved despite the challenges that we have already discussed. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Thulani, for that comprehensive overview of your role as a coordinating agency. I really think it's good to hear that it's actually, given you opportunities to be more influential, opportunities to be more involved in spaces such as GPE and government spaces, and then the overall goal of really ensuring that education is improved throughout Swaziland. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm really glad you mentioned learning and sharing of how to improve and to continue these initiatives, because I just wanted to take an opportunity to highlight the GCE Learning Hub that we've recently launched. And you may have heard of it already during perhaps a launch last year or through emails and alerts of resources. But just to give a brief overview, the Learning Hub was launched for GCE members and partners last year in 2021. And it's essentially a resource hub to engage and to enhance collaborative learning and ongoing engagement towards strengthening the GCE movement, as well as strengthening collaborations and learning from each other, learning from members across regions and globally. So I think this is, one example of your role as a coordinating agency is a really great best practice example that other members or regions or coalitions can learn from, and equally they could have experiences that could learn from each other. So it's a freely available online platform. I believe you should have login details, but if you don't, please let me know after this session, and I think this would be a good opportunity to begin just collaborating and sharing more on the Learning Hub. It exists for these kind of engagements, for this kind of learning, for sharing of best practices, and also just to provide that knowledge repository of information and resources. So yes, I just wanted to kind of highlight that and encourage SWANCEFA with some of your really great work. If you have an overview of that work, if you have resources you'd like to share, reports, what others can learn from, that you please do share with us. Please do let me know if you don't have access to the Learning Hub at the moment, and then we can work together and really start to enhance this culture of sharing and learning through the Learning Hub. Yes, so that's what I just wanted to highlight briefly. And if you have any questions regarding the Learning Hub, if you'd like more information, I will also send that through. I think this is, just listening to all the work you're doing, all the initiatives, and really centering on education and improving education. I think this could be some best practices that can be instilled for the full GCE movement. But thank you very much. I think if there are no more comments on the coordinating agency or on the Learning Hub, I'll pass it back over to Pilani.
Thank you so much, Vicky. I think we will write an article just to contribute in terms of what we have learned to the Learning Hub. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Tulani. Pilani, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Vicky, and thank you, Tulani and Nelisiwe, for this session. Atlehang, I'm not sure if your audio is on and you can be able perhaps to speak to some of the few points that sort of highlighted through the chat box. We still cannot hear you, unless if it's my challenge only. Vicky, can you confirm if you can hear her?
No, unfortunately, I can't hear her.
Okay. Sorry, Atlehang, your audio is still not coming through to us.
Pilani, would you like me to go over Zodwa's comments, or you will?
You mean comments for?
On the chat, what Atlehang was going to go through.
Yeah, please, you can. Yeah, absolutely, if that's possible.
Sure, yeah. So I think it's kind of in line with what Nelisiwe and Tulani have been talking about. The political instability that has led to the depletion of family resources is affecting society's ability to provide quality, inclusive education. Additionally, the COVID-19 effects have hit hard on school children. As we know, this is an issue globally as well. The second comment she made was that school committees have not been able to meet, thus there's a gap between parents and teachers. That's one of the effects of COVID-19. Another effect is that parents are now forced to teach children at home under the pretense that they are helping with homework, when in actual fact they're expected to teach different subjects. If children go to school without doing their homework, they are harassed by teachers, and this has increased the dropout rate. As Nelisiwe was pointing out, unexpected teenage pregnancy has been very high in Swaziland, and SWANCEFA may have to restart all the programs that were successful, in particular mentoring ESCAPA, which I think ESCAPA means Eswatini Schools Committee and Parents Association. And as Nelisiwe has pointed out, this is the first parents association to be registered in Eswatini. SWANCEFA facilitated and supported its formation and registration. The final two comments that Zodwa made, the first is that GCE, in terms of how GCE can support GCE can help SWANCEFA in reaching more communities in establishing and capturing ESCAPA, the Parents Association, as the organization that has been key in closing the gap between parents and schools. SWANCEFA has been successful in presenting school issues that were previously not attended to through advocacy with policymakers and in sensitizing communities on policy issues. An example is in supporting education opportunities for children with disabilities. On the comment about SADC and the involvement on being removed, SADC's role is to force the country to engage on community dialogues without victimization, and government to accept democracy, learning from successful, I think that's from previous successful kingdoms. The SWANCEFA coalition has served as an eye-opener on the challenges of children in schools through research presentation while working in collaboration with research institutions. This is good for informed programming and decision making. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky, for recapping that. I would like to check from Nelisiwe and Tulani before we wrap, in the interest of public diplomacy approach. Do you have any other points that you think you would want to speak about in this session?
No, on my side, I think everything has been covered, and thank you so much to Mam Zoda, who's also came in, who's one of our members, just to maybe highlight some of the things that we have doing as a coalition. Yeah, so for us, maybe also thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. And also we hope to write more in terms of what we have achieved and our challenges also, because we do believe that if we do communicate, someone out there could possibly support us in terms of how we can address some of those challenges. So thank you so much, Philani and team from the GCE. As SWANCEFA, we appreciate so much for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Tulani. Nelisiwe?
Thank you so much, Philani. Thank you for the opportunity. I think we have shared what we wanted to share with GCE. And also to request for support on the part of GCE in terms of capacity building. As we have mentioned, the CA role and GPE processes are new in the country. We don't have maybe other organizations we can tap information from, because it's a new role. There is no local organization that has been a CA before. So we really appreciate support from GCE. Previously, I think GCE used to develop some toolkits. I'm still using that financing matters toolkit, which were very, very informative, and we use them as our handbooks every time. So I think there are more resources that GCE can share. Maybe it's because we have not had a physical global assembly. That's where we used to get more information, especially toolkits. They were more usable on our part. So we appreciate more support on that part. Thank you so much. Yeah, on policy analysis, planning and coordination. Thank you, Philani. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nelisiwe and Tulani, and also to my colleagues, Vicky and Ashkahang. The issue of capacity building has been noted, and we will escalate this. And we'll also share with you some of the resources that have emerged around education financing and some of the initiatives that are already underway around these issues, so that you can be able to be part of these processes. And I also strongly believe that the content of this session is valuable to an extent that we should find ways of utilizing it just beyond the spotlight session and featuring you in the newsletter or a video on our learning hub. Perhaps from our side, we can write a blog article about this session and then submit it to you for your input. I think it should be a piece that we should be able to work on, and so that we capture all the information that has been shared here. And for us, this actually poses as a success for the movement, and not only the movement, but SWANCEFA as well. So it's something that we cannot just let go without maximizing such an opportunity like this. So I think also my colleague Vicky will be able to make some input within that process so that we can feed both the Learning Hub and the rest of the GCE network that we work with. So with that, from my end, I would like to say thank you for making time and for contributing to this session. I acknowledge some of the challenges that we had yesterday, but I strongly believe that today it went well, despite small hiccups from our colleagues struggling to join, and also others struggling to connect both video and audio. And with that, I would like to say thank you so much, and we will keep in touch.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.